I made an analogy before between the quantum leaps and the frames in a movie, because the movie is made up of discrete images, but when they're projected or streamed on YouTube, we perceive it as one continuous thing. We don't see, unless we slow it down, we don't see one frame, two frame, three frames. We see the flow as one continuous thing, and you could, in a way, you could argue that our life, we perceive it as a continuous movie, but it's actually made up of frames which are so small that we cannot measure them, but every one of those frames are subatomic particle. Each in every one of our frames, you could even say that each single frame of what we perceive as a continuous movie is a frame of one subatomic particle, to use this example, choosing or manifesting itself one thing, not another thing. So if either or is at the root, then each frame of our existence is, you want to call it a choice that gets into free will, but is either Chicago or New Orleans. It's either this or that. It's one. I believe it's a choice. It's very hard to prove that it's a choice, but I'm getting to the point where I think it's safe to say that our existence, that we perceive of as continuous, that we do not perceive as discrete frames, is actually made up of quote-unquote frames in which to go with this this, pardon the pun, frame of reference, one subatomic particle, or if we get more advanced, then we find smaller subatomic particles within the subatomic particles. But atom, originally, the word atom was the notion of something that is a fundamental unit, cannot be divided, about which there cannot be parts. Parts being something that would pose the matter, either this part or that part. So each frame, if you will, and if we look at subatomic particles as the smallest that we can get, I don't think that it is the smallest that we can get, but if we look at the smallest thing that we can get, at the smallest thing that there is, at the smallest thing that we can discern, frame by frame, And I suspect the universe somehow is processing them all. Frame by frame. It's, if we don't want to use the word choice, what shall we use? It's a manifestation of one thing as opposed to another thing. Does that make sense? Life is a movie. It's like a movie. And at each frame, there's a manifestation of one thing as opposed to not that one thing.